Return to Oz is a Disney film from 1985. This is directed by Walter Marsh. This, of course, is based on the stories by L. Frank Baum, and it stars Fairuza Balk as Dorothy. And needless to say, this is about Dorothy going back to Oz. And it takes about 20 minutes to get to that point, which seems like quite a long time to get to the main part of the narrative, but the film itself is just under 2 hours. It's an hour and 40, an hour and 50 something, I think. So it's quite a long film. Does it need to be that long? Honestly, it could have been shorter, but at the same time, I didn't feel like it was dragging. I wasn't clock watching. I wasn't feeling like it was unnecessarily long. So yes, I think they could have told the story a little bit more tightly, but at the same time, I don't have a problem with it being the length it was. Maybe we could have got to Oz a little bit more quickly and shortened the time slightly, particularly when we're thinking that this is a film aimed at children. Well, I'd say it's more of a family film, but certainly is something children might enjoy. The longer runtime may not be necessary, but nevertheless, it's a pretty decent film. I don't think it's fair to compare it to the classic Wizard of Oz film, partly because this is Disney and that was MGM, but also because this was made many decades later and it has a very different feel to it. Visually, not as captivating, but I certainly didn't mind it. When Dorothy goes to Oz, she encounters some new friends, and I'll talk about those in a moment. And she has to try and find out what has happened to Oz because it looks completely different. It is trashed. The yellow brick road is more of just a beige pile of bricks at this point. And she tries to resolve this by battling against this witch and the Gnome King. Neither of those characters I thought were that interesting, but I did love some of the characters Dorothy met along the way. We have a delightful character called Tik-Tok, who I feel is not a direct replacement for the Tin Man, but he is our metallic character. And we have Jack Pumpkinhead, which I just love. And these are characters from L. Frank Baum's stories. And the design of the character is just amazing. And again, he's not a direct replacement for the Scarecrow, but I feel like he is our kind of similar-ish character. And there are a couple of others, and we also have a talking chicken that goes to Oz with Dorothy, and the characters that are there with Dorothy are delightful. We also have some really scary characters. As I said, don't care about the Witch or the Gnome King, but the Wheelers are terrifying. This is genuinely, on a couple of occasions, a really scary film. And honestly, I feel like I would have been too scared of this as a child, despite the fact that I love horror now and I can't get enough of it. As a child, anything that was even remotely scary, apart from Hocus Pocus for some reason, I didn't like. I was too scared. And the Wheelers would have terrified me. They are, even now, I found them to be very eerie, very, very well done. They're characters who have wheels on their hands and feet, and they walk, or wheel, I guess, on their hands and feet, and they're just, the pace they move at, they're really quick, and the design of them is just, it's absolutely fantastic. So there are quite a few scary elements of this. I love the set design, and obviously some people might have an issue with seeing Oz all smashed up and broken, but I think it looks really great, and I rather like that. So there are some really good things about this. It's maybe a little slow in places, but we have quite a variety of locations and sets and things. So there's usually always something different to look at, and I really think that works really well. So it's definitely a pretty good film. Even though I don't like the classic Wizard of Oz, I don't know why I don't like it. I cannot identify why I do not like it. I don't hate it, but I don't care for it. But I don't know if I'd say I prefer this, but I certainly enjoyed the experience. If you like The Wizard of Oz, absolutely check it out. But if, like me, you like watching different adaptations or interpretations, this is definitely one to go with. I don't think I've read anything by L. Frank Baum. I must have done it at some point. But the point I'm making here is that I've never read anything, to my knowledge, with some of these characters, like Jack Pumpkinhead. If you've read those books, I think he was in maybe the second or the third Wizard of Oz story. I can't remember. I did look it up when I was watching it, but if you are already familiar with those characters, I'd love to know if the characters met your expectations, if they didn't live up to what you were hoping for. Personally, I obviously had no prior expectations, and I thought it was pretty good. It's not a bad film. I don't think it's fair to compare it to The Wizard of Oz itself, because that's just a completely different experience, but as a film on its own and as a story focusing on Oz and Dorothy, I thought Return to Oz was not that bad.